मेदि नन्दिनि नन्दितमेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दिनुते गिरिवरविन्द्यशिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्षिनि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि किल्बिषमोषिनि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिशुकरोषिनि दुर्मथतोषिनि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. So I am back about after a 7-day jail of YouTube because I did some community guidelines violation. I think I'm not exactly sure which they call what. There are different terminologies for different things. So what I got was a warning, not a, not a strike, and I got it because of some Bangladesh violent stuff I posted, which was visually too violent, which should not be seen according to YouTube by common people because they will get too much of a shock. So I had to be kicked out of YouTube for 7 days in order to let's say protect people from the shock of an image out of Bangladesh. So anyway, hi Abhay, hi Aris, hi Gautam Varum, Jai Shri Ram. Here to learn. Hello Dada, রাত দখলে গেছিলে? No. Welcome back Dada, Shravan Amin. Oh, Shavi Amin, hi. Long time no see. Saptarshi, Jai Ma Kali, Bhupendra, Jai Shri Ram. Thanks Gautam Varun. Har Har Mahadev Rishi, Ninar, Jai Shri Ram. So, Ninar is saying reminder not to talk of events in Kolkata. They seem to be sending police to people for talking on that. Yes, and I was just about to say this, and my people know me and West Bengal so well. Yeah, so guys, we are not going to talk about RG almost at all because uh, the things that are coming out now, I kind of thought about that and speculated that and had a conversation about that with some of my friends, and then all my suspicions were going on coming true, and they are still coming true. You see, only thing, there are some fundamentals that you have to understand, and then we can move on from this topic, which is that anything that happens in West Bengal, if it is a problem for the government, they will make sure that that problem, or the people who are creating that problem for them, also faces some significant amount of problem. If something happens and they let it happen, even if you think that thing is somehow against the government, but if the government lets it happen without any problems at all, then you'll have to understand that that thing is not actually creating any problems for the government. Okay, there are only state sanctioned things in West Bengal that occur. If they occur without state sanction, the person creating that thing will face the brunt of it. Make no mistake about that. So now CBI is going to take care of these things, and although who knows what's the strike rate of CBI in these matters or in any matter. But anyway, Mamata Banerjee has faith in CBI, so we must all have faith in CBI. And today, some police, I don't know if he's the commissioner or not, he has also said that why are you guys being so impatient? So be patient. Even if you're a patient, don't go to a hospital. But anyway, today we are going to check out a YouTube channel called Being Human, and I hope the brother from Being Human won't give us copyright strike or violation to my channel. We are going to live react and analyze and discuss the stuff he has said about J. Sai Deepak in his video. Let's start. Shaptoshi, yeah, yeah. Actually, the first time Shaptoshi, okay, Shaptoshi is asking, for those of you who have not seen it yet, I went to Rebecca Barsev's podcast again, that Israeli girl YouTuber. When I was banned from YouTube, I went to her channel, and near the end, I brought up something about social justice, that conservatism is not enough. Social justice is the real needle pusher. She got a shock, of course. She pushed back a little. I think by the end, we had a more amicable reconciliation on that topic, at least. And the first time, mysterious sociologist told me this thing, that actually it's a social justice movement, Hindutva, whether you like it or not. It's, I think that's the nature of it, and we must uh, treat it and go about it as if it's a social justice movement, because it is. If you think it's not a social justice movement, you're simply misdiagnosing the problem and delaying your own actions about regarding this topic. And I also reacted the same way that Rebecca did, frankly, because by social justice we only think about insane critical race theory, transgender rights and stuff. Not just rights से तो किसी को problem नहीं है, transgenderism, all those insanity. But social justice does not have to mean just those current 15-year-old fads and fringe movements that have been propped up in the mainstream only in the last 10-15 years of USA. Okay. um, okay, let's start. So the thing you'll notice about this video, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, that he obviously has a gigantic team. How many are his followers? Yeah, 1.21 million followers. So he has a gigantic editing team, and he takes a lot of help of editing elements and let's say quick tricks, and a lot of background music, multiple jump cuts here and there, to try to make his point. He doesn't make his point ultimately in the end, I think, but he tries to. But his procedure to establish the point that J. Sai Deepak is not that educated on things, or that he is basically a vile person trying to divide Indians, etc. But his mode of weapon, his weapon, his the choice of his weapon is very hilarious and interesting, which is background music and great editing. That those two are his foremost weapons in this fight against J. Sai Deepak that he has chosen. Because you'll notice that almost for the first 5 minutes there aren't any arguments. He just shows random clips of J. Sai Deepak edited in a funny way and expects people to start laughing. And I think I'm going to do that to his video as well. Some places where he makes absolutely insane arguments, I'm just going to pause the video and look at you guys. I'll look at the names of you guys and expect you all to be rolling around and holding your bellies and laughing, bursting out in laughter in your homes. Okay. Because why bother to even counter some things? But I will try to counter as much possible.
When we keep saying Hindu Rashtra, Hindu Rashtra, Hindu Rashtra,
we are looking at 40,000 sites. And therefore, I'm interested in creating a parallel universe.
क्योंकि पुलिस बॉलीवुड की तरह लेट आएगी और अगर आएगी भी तो पहले हिंदू को मारेगी।
थोड़ा तो जाग जाओ भाई, यहाँ से भाग के और कहाँ जाओ?
Hinduism is not a religion of cowards.
We had more self-confidence as a civilization under the colonizer.
I wish साथी प्रज्ञा knew how to speak in English. Government को तो history का syllabus change करना ही पड़ेगा.
And those who claim to be Ambedkarites are extremely deadly.
Are we living in the age of Khilafat 2.0 is the central question that I'm asking.
Okay, that's pretty frightening. Okay.
बहन डर गई, बहन डर गई, बहन डर गई. अरे बहना मैं तो तेरी बहादुरी चेक कर रहा था.
जय श्री राम.
Exactly.
At least I can, kick off by saying from 24 to 26 would be Narendra Modi.
From 26 to 29 is Amit Shah. 29 to 34 is Yogi. 34 to 39 is Yogi again. 39 to 44 would be Hemant Biswa. 44 to 46 would be Annamalai. And
46 to 49 would be J. Sai Deepak.
क्या आपने भी नोटिस किया कि कैसे इस राइट विंग प्रेडिक्शन ऑफ फ्यूचर प्राइम मिनिस्टर टिल 20
Oh, Saint Vignesh is here. Yes. I guess you are for the first time coming to any of my live streams or live react videos. This is not usually something I do, but today I'm just in the mood of being a little cocky because I was banned from putting out my thoughts, opinions, which are not ever calls for violence, and I have been robbed of revenue by the by these commie leftist cabal of YouTube. So forgive me for being not 100% fair with my criticisms, bro.
1949 में सारे नाम बीजेपी लीडर्स के थे एक्सेप्ट दिस वन नेम तो आखिर कौन है जे साई दीपक और इसमें ऐसा क्या है कि फेलो राइट विंगर्स उसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाना चाहते हैं
In fact, it's a backhanded compliment, so I'll repeat it. I challenge anyone to speak in Kannada with the same fluency as Asaduddin Owaisi speaks in Urdu.
The fact of the matter is, you
There was nothing to react on that, you know. I think that sentence would apply for Bengalis in West Bengal as well. Even for people who have studied in West Bengal board Bengali medium schools as well. It's not that of a fantastic, unheard of ever sort of a argument that J.S. Deepak brought up. That yes, Akbaruddin Owaisi is more fluent in Urdu than most, at least according to him, Kannadigas are fluent in Kannada. Okay, and by fluency, it should not mean just, let's say, saying anything and everything. You have to say it in a good way as well, articulate, use interesting, nice words, and put out a clear thought. Those comprise a good grasp over a language. But even then, I'm not sure. Since I don't know any Kannadiga personally, so I can't comment on the exact Kannada part or the Karnataka angle of this argument. But at least in Bengal, a lot of people would have a tough time if I ask them to speak in Bengali without using any English word or phrase for let's say 1 hour. Okay, just yesterday only, I was having a conversation with a friend's brother. He has studied in a West Bengal board school. Okay, if I asked him to speak English for 1 hour, he will fumble a lot. He won't be able to make it almost, okay, for more than maybe 10-15 minutes. But he was complaining about his Bengali study material syllabus for his master's education that is going on in economics or commerce, I think. All the past subjects and all the economic stuff is in Bengali. And he is having a tough time with the Bengali study material, even though he's from a Bengali medium school. He's saying, how can I read and remember this insane Bengali that it's written in? I can't.
don't have Hindu Oasis at this point.
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
See, his bad arguments are beginning already with even his good editing skills. That how is it not clear what J.S. Deepak is trying to say? What is Akbaruddin Owaisi for the Muslim community? Unless being human's argument is that Akbaruddin Owaisi is nothing special for the Muslim community. He's just another MP, just like Abhishek Banerjee, Shayani Ghosh, Akbaruddin Owaisi. Same hai, sab same. If he isn't that, if he is special, then what J.S. Deepak is trying to say is that how about someone that kind of a special leader for the Hindus, okay? And if his argument is that he's just another, then we can't say anything. Then he'll have to, let's say, donate his computers to some poor kids and stop following politics entirely.
तो इस वीडियो में समझने की कोशिश करेंगे द क्यूरियस केस ऑफ जे साई दीपक।
आपकी बात करूंगा कि आप है कौन?
Engineer turned litigator turned author.
जो बहुत पॉपुलर हैं, बहुत चर्चा में रहते हैं।
You've been the most requested guest. बहुत सारे लोगों ने रिक्वेस्ट करी थी।
Ma'am, can you please have J. Sai Deepak? Ma'am, can you please have J. Sai Deepak?
J. Sai Deepak! Bring J. Sai Deepak! जो यंग लोग देख रहे हैं आपको, आपसे बहुत ज्यादा इंस्पायर होते हैं। और जो सबसे अच्छी चीज होती है वो है क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट।
And you make very compelling arguments, and your arguments are very sound.
हिंदुत्व पर बात करने वाला सबसे लॉजिकल आदमी मानते हैं। तो कुछ लोग इन्हें कट्टर राष्ट्रवादी भी बोलते हैं।
If someone cuts you open, blood won't fall out, some fire will come out. Why are so many people lusting over you, J. Sai Deepak?
अगर आपके बाइसेप्स में भी बियर है तो ये सवाल आपके भी मन में आया होगा कि why do so many right wingers actually lust over him? Maybe it's his IIT degree or his law practice in Supreme Court or his polished English.
No!
मुझे पर्सनली लगता है कि जे भाई दीपक की पॉपुलैरिटी का राज है इनकी मेजॉरिटी।
To be fair, I have never been a fan of people who worship someone's English accent and their grasp over the English language. But you will have to, let's say, concede the fact that a lot of commies and Marxists have gotten away with their insane ideas just because they spoke in English in a certain way to a very specific audience. At the same time, a lot of insane Marxist ideas were able to be sold to the masses because though their leaders spouting those specific ideas to a very, again, a different section of the masses of India in a very specific way of speaking Hindi, a very specifically great way of speaking Hindi, great way of speaking Bengali, great way of speaking any vulnerable in any vernacular language, okay, in the country. So the point here is that For the first time, the non-left has also someone who has a complete grasp over the English language. Sitaram Goel, of course, had, but we don't have any audio recording of him, unfortunately. So this particular aspect, I think, know that really hits commies in their hearts or in other body parts, that, oh my God, this English speaking space that we had complete grasp on. ठीक है, हिंदी भाषियों में, बंगाली भाषियों में तो थोड़ा बहुत शुभेंदु अधिकारी वगैरह, हिंदी भाषियों में तो है ही, बहुत सारी योगी है यहाँ पे, और कांग्रेस का कोई हिंदी वगैरह निकाल देंगे. Or even if we think of it like let's say in the non-political way, okay, intellectuals, there are intellectuals from both left and non-left who can speak great Hindi. But English में काहे आ गया? This is our space. No, don't come here. English is specifically for us commies. तो इसमें गाड़ तो जल रही ही है, definitely.
Authority को डराने वाली conspiracy theories.
The biggest छलावा that has happened with Bharatiyas is secularism. क्योंकि भारत की जो मूलभूत आइडेंटिटी है वो हिंदुत्व है और हिंदू है.
एक तरफ हिंदुओं की जो संख्या है वो घट रही है और अब हिंदू राष्ट्र के लिए लड़ रहे हैं. संविधान का क्या प्रचार डालेंगे जब हिंदू ही नहीं रहे?
जब आपके घर को कोई आग लगाने आ रहा है तो क्या आप उसके सामने संविधान का एक पर्चा आप उसके सामने वेव करेंगे? जब तक हिंदू सोए रहेंगे तब तक खतरा मंडराता रहेगा. Hinduism is not a religion of cowards. Hinduism does not fear force. Because the definition of terror has changed. It's urban warfare now. It's street warfare now.
Street is where the battle is being fought right now. ये आर्या पार की लड़ाई है.
हो क्या रहा है? हो क्या रहा है?
बुद्धि का घोटाला.
On that note, I think you've really done a great job of getting youngsters to move away from binge watching Game of Thrones to binge watching your lectures.
तो जे भाई दीपक के देसी गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स की स्क्रिप्ट में वो सबसे पहले 110 करोड़ प्लस हिंदू मेजॉरिटी को खतरे में बताते हैं, फिर देश की मेजॉरिटी को वायलेंटली.
Okay, let's see all the books and topics we have discussed and read for all these for the last, let's say, 1 or 2 years. वो सब ज्ञान अभी इनके ऊपर वॉमिट कर देने का समय आ गया है. So being human, bro, the number of the majority does not matter. Whether even it's a majority or not, it does not matter for it to be vulnerable, because those evil Brahmins you all speak of all day, the population of Brahmins in India is 4.5%. The number of British people in India never exceeded 1 lakh, maybe somewhere around 1 lakh, okay? So the number of Hindus is not the problem. And secondly, of course, Hindus, on the one hand, are told by commies that there is no such thing as Hinduism. There are no such people as Hindu people. Hinduism was born like in 1948, 47, or after the Puranas, etc. So Hinduism is just a name for a collection of people who are divided between their tribe identities, caste identities, jati. By caste, of course, we mean birth-based guild privileges, and guilds then going into the status group zone. Though that's just what Hinduism is. There is no united Hinduism. But at the same time, those Hindus are told by those same people that it's so united that it's a threat against the minorities. So how can it be two things at the same time? Those specific two things at the same time. Whether either it's a majority united, and therefore maybe you, at least because of the unity, at least you could argue that, yeah, it might end up someday becoming a threat to minorities. But at the same time, you can't say that they're not even united. There's no Hinduism. So it can't work both ways.
भड़काकर जे भाई बोलते हैं कि एक आर्य पार का धर्म युद्ध है और इसका कुरुक्षेत्र इंडियन एजुकेशन सिस्टम है.
Or rather, let me say, the most important battleground is the educational battleground.
और जे भाई दीपक की एजुकेशनल बैटल का एम एजुकेशन सिस्टम को रिफॉर्म करके बेटर इंस्टीट्यूशंस विद बेटर टीचर्स एंड करिकुलम, बेटर टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना नहीं है, बल्कि जैसा दीपक की कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी से भरे दिमाग के हिसाब से इंडियन एजुकेशन की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है कि इट्स डिजाइन्ड टू बी एंटी हिंदू.
So you
Okay. So remember when Sandeep Sanyal came on my podcast, he was bringing out an interesting virtue signaling that people do. That you say the most obvious thing and pretend like you are some kind of a hero for saying it. Okay. Like, let's say if you have in your bio saying something like minorities should not be attacked, dogs should not be killed, or education must get better. So who in the fucking world would disagree with any of these statements? But then why do you have those statements in your bio? Because you think you are some kind of a messiah, or at least a little better than everyone else who does not have those statements in their bios, right? And you want to be worshipped, or you think you are a bit better than those people for having those things in your bio. Why? Those are obvious. Everyone wants education to get better. No one wants minorities to get harmed. No one wants dogs to get killed. Okay, except maybe some Keralians every now and then, and some people in the place called Behala in West Bengal, in Kolkata, every now and then. But other than that, these are obvious truths, okay, evident to everyone. Okay, so if, let's say, J.S.I. Deepak tomorrow starts a campaign for not reforming the education system in the way we want it, but in the way that Being Human wants it, that make it better, objectively just better it. How? I'm sure Being Human has some opinions, because he is probably a rabid leftist liberal sort of a person. And I know, Being Human, if you're watching this, leftist and liberal are not the same things, but in India they work in tandem. They have a friendship between them, because the liberals are not really liberals, they are actually commies, but they don't know what's a commie and what's not a commie. But anyway, let's say you do have some views on politics, right? And you do have some views on how to exactly reform the system, or how to keep it the way it is, and how to not reform it the way J.S.I. Deepak wants it. But you are pretending to be a political normie, so I won't be able to target all my criticism towards you specifically, because you are pretending to be an uneducated person. So let's say J.S.I. Deepak actually goes about demanding better education system, not reforming it in a certain way. So he put up some pictures, right? Should J.S.I. Deepak just talk about putting up better blackboards in classrooms? Why is that blackboard not working? Whose fault do you think it is? Okay, there are some people in that school's administration whose jobs won't probably cease to exist, even if that blackboard remains that way. Okay, when something is public property, when something is claimed to be everyone's property, then it becomes nobody's property. Here we are looking at the results of socialism, which all leftists and liberals like in India. Okay, this is what socialism does to your classrooms. So, but the way we want it bettered is, of course, or at least retract the redification of Indian education system that has happened 70s onwards, and bring some objectivity back in the education system, where Karl Marx won't be the only, let's say, cornerstone of thinking and critical thinking and social sciences, where Indian kings will also be taught, okay, not just invading settler colonialist kings, okay.
बल्कि J.S.I. दीपक की कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी से भरे दिमाग के हिसाब से इंडियन एजुकेशन की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है कि इट्स डिजाइन्ड टू बी एंटी हिंदू.
So you've lost more and most of your Hindu identity post independence than in the 800 years of unrelented violence. इन्होंने इसको अंग्रेजी एजुकेशन पाके खो दिया है, गवा दिया है. In this generation, you ask them what do they know about India, they'll come out with only three things: जाति.
And this idea that J.S.I. Deepak has said, and he tried to highlight it multiple times, that, oh my God, we had a better education system and our self-esteem was better under the British. How the fuck is that even possible? Okay, for starters, when Dr. Chandni Sen Gupta, historian, PhD professor, she came on my podcast, she is on record on my podcast saying that they are taught they are actively told not to follow Jadunath Sarkar's work. Okay, people like Jadunath Sarkar, and specifically Jadunath Sarkar, even for in the history academia, it's like, छोड़ो जदुनाथ की बातें, जदुनाथ की बात पुरानी, नए दौर में लिखेंगे हम सारे रोमिला थापर की कहानी. But my question to Being Human, the innocent kid who doesn't follow politics too much, would be that, who do you think is the equivalent of Jadunath Sarkar, R.C. Majumdar, Radha Kumud Mukherjee these days? Except maybe Sitaram Goel to some extent, which you all have not heard of because you don't follow politics maybe. But if there are no equivalents of those kinds of people, those kinds of historians, and you can't just call them randomly any historian, of course, largely they come in the under the category of historians, but they were, of course, you could accuse them of even being nationalist historians, or you could proudly call them nationalist historians, but they were historians that had views which were not held by each and every other historian in the country, right? So where are those names? If at all what J.S.I. Deepak is saying is wrong, okay? Because then Being Human would have to prove that there is no problem with our history education, right? But there are no such names today.
Sati and untouchability. Indian history or Hindu history starts with these three words and ends with these three words, according to these geniuses.
And when a child reads this over and over again, he is being told that he is part of a defeated nation. And when that happens, it is bound to affect a sense.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I became a fan of Desai Deepak, because Desai Deepak along with Sanjeev Sanyal started saying these things, and had been saying these things, but I saw these videos of these people saying these things after I already had a realization of my own that yes, these set statements are in fact true. From reading Land of Seven Rivers, that yes, all my life I have grown up knowing that yeah, my religion is bad, my country is bad, and my country is weak, or my religion is weak and bad. And there were some great kings, yeah, there was a Chhatrapati Shivaji, yeah, Prithviraj Chauhan and all, yes, but have you heard of Akbar, bro? That was the way history has forever been taught. Anyone who disagrees with this statement, at least, okay, you can be a commie, but you can't disagree with this overall broad impression that you get from the entire 12 years of education you get in Indian schools. If someone even disagrees with this fact, then of course they are not arguing in good faith, in which case Saint Vignesh will have to be reminded that that is the way to counter these people, by being cocky.
Of self-esteem.
We had more self-confidence as a civilization under the colonizer than we have had post-independence.
बहुत गंभीर इल्जाम लगाया
अब ऐसे गंभीर इल्जाम को गंभीरता से एनालाइज करके इसका एक गंभीर एक्सपोजे करना तो बनता है। तो जे भाई दीपक की इस कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी के हिसाब से हमें हिस्ट्री ऐसे पढ़ाई जाती है कि हम एक लो सेल्फ एस्टीम और लो कॉन्फिडेंस वाले नेगेटिव और डिफीटिस्ट पॉपुलेशन बन जाते हैं। और इस थ्योरी के प्रूफ के तौर पर जे भाई दीपक ये क्लेम करता है।
In this generation, you ask them what do they know about India, they'll come out with only three things: जाति, सती and untouchability.
अब मैं ये क्लेम सुनते ही काफी श्योर था कि ये जनरलाइजेशन काफी ज्यादा इनएक्यूरेट और मनगढ़ंत लगती है, एंड इट्स प्रोबब्ली जस्ट एन इमेजिनरी अजम्पशन दैट इज क्रिएटेड टू सूट हिज ओन नैरेटिव।
फाइंड अ वे टू रिबट मी ऑन फैक्ट्स।
और अपने इस शक को वेरीफाई करने के लिए मैंने खुद इस क्लेम का फैक्ट चेक करने का डिसीजन लिया, इवन दो एज वी ऑल नो
आई एम नॉट अ जर्नलिस्ट डूड,
बट बिकॉज़ मैं कुछ चीजों को पब्लिक के सामने ठीक से रख सकता हूं, आई टेक अप दैट रिस्पांसिबिलिटी एज वेल।
और ये रिस्पांसिबिलिटी लेते ही मैंने
राइट, listen to the statement he just says, okay? Listen to the exact words that how he tried to go about finding the facts for this argument, and then see what he has actually posted in the Twitter screenshot, okay?
तुमको पब्लिक के सामने ठीक से रख सकता हूं, I take up that responsibility as well।
और ये रिस्पांसिबिलिटी लेते ही मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मैं इस रिसर्च के लिए कम से कम 1000 लोगों का सैंपल साइज कलेक्ट करूंगा, और इसलिए मैंने YouTube और Twitter के थ्रू लोगों से पूछा कि वो कौन सी 3 चीजें हैं जो उन्हें इंडिया और इंडियन हिस्ट्री के बारे में स्कूल या कॉलेज में पढ़ाई गई थी।
स्कूल या कॉलेज में पढ़ाई गई थी, ये पूछा क्या उसने? ये देखो, व्हाट्स द क्वेश्चन हियर? फर्स्ट 3 थिंग्स दैट कम टू योर माइंड अबाउट इंडियन हिस्ट्री। अब तो इंग्लिश बोलने वाले नॉन लेफ्टिस्ट है हम, क्या करें, इंग्लिश समझ में आता है, वेस्टर्न कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट, वेस्टर्न प्रोपागेंडा तो हमारे दिमाग में घुस चुका है इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज की वजह से। तो अब समझाओ भाई, इस स्टेटमेंट से किस भोसरी वाले को समझ में आएगा कि इसको पूछा जा रहा था कि भाई तूने स्कूल में क्या सीखा है? This statement absolutely asks you that what do you think of Indian history, and not what you are taught in your history classroom. Let's look at the shit on the right side, okay? Hello mitro, I need a short answer as research for a video I'm making, okay? जहां पे school actually mentioned किया गया है, वहां पे he predicates it, he makes a prerequisite saying that I am making a video, you know, me who has 1.21 million subscribers and I'm a commie and I'm making a video on Indian history education, you know, that stuff that Indian right-wingers always keep blabbering about. I am making a video on that. So, knowing all these things, knowing this premise, let me know, what do you think of the Indian education system and its history teaching? Yeah, ये statistical fallacy का चुतियापा तो तुम अब थॉमस सोयल जिसने पढ़ लिया है उसको तो तुम नहीं समझा पाओगे।
लोगों से पूछा कि वो कौन सी 3 चीजें हैं जो उन्हें इंडिया और इंडियन हिस्ट्री के बारे में स्कूल या कॉलेज में पढ़ाई गई थी, एंड द फॉलोइंग एनालिसिस ऑफ दिस रिसर्च इज
based on what I've read in the comment section.
तो मेरी इस रिसर्च में द फाइनल काउंट ऑफ कमेंट्स वाज 1100 एंड एवरी कमेंट हैड एनीवेयर फ्रॉम 1 to 3 आंसर्स, और कई बार 3 से भी काफी ज्यादा। इसलिए इस स्टडी में मैंने टोटल आंसर्स का कंजर्वेटिव
पूरा कोर्सेरा में इसका कोई भाई स्टैटिस्टिकल रिसर्च का एक कोर्स डलवाओ, बीइंग ह्यूमन का एक कोर्स होना चाहिए कोर्सेरा में।
एवरेज अराउंड 2000 माना है। अब इस स्टडी के एनालिसिस में सबसे सरप्राइजिंग बात ये निकली कि इन 2000 आंसर्स में से ओनली 40 हैड मेंशन्ड ईदर सती, जाति और अनटचेबिलिटी। दैट इज 2% ऑफ द टोटल आंसर्स, यानी 98% ऑफ द रिस्पांसेस डिडंट इवन हैव अ सिंगल रेफरेंस टू एनी ऑफ दीस 3 टर्म्स। बट अकॉर्डिंग टू जेसाई दीपक्स कंस्पिरेसी,
इसने मेंशन ही नहीं किया सती, इवन दो आई ट्वीक्ड द क्वेश्चन सो हार्ड।
Theory, Indian history or Hindu history starts with these 3 words and ends with these 3 words according to these geniuses. So clearly our Marxist leftists have done a fantastic job.
कुछ भी
इस रिसर्च में एक और fascinating fact ये सामने आया कि even out of these mere 40 responses, almost half of these 40 responses mentioned either of these terms in context of reform या फिर as a matter of factual information. Only 14 of these 40 answers mentioned any of these three terms with an expression of anger, disappointment or hopelessness towards Indian society. अब ये बताओ जे भाई दीपक कि even in my audience, which is primarily non-right-wing Indians, hardly 1% of the responses actually lived up to your extremely negative hypothesis.
Because of the way you framed your question.
About how Indian history is taught. So clearly, all it was meant to do was push his conspiracy theory further.
We had more self-confidence.
So far he has made one or two arguments and they are absolutely baseless and hilarious.
As a civilization under the colonizer than we have had post-independence.
Yeah. If not, if J.S. Deepak is wrong, show me the equivalent of R.C. Majumdar, Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Jadunath Sarkar.
बकवास की भी हद होती है। मैं एक बात कहना चाहता हूं, देखिए बकवास की भी
Prove. He's not going to. That's the funny part. He's not going to counter him exactly by saying that, no, you see, this is not the case. This is the case.
हद होती है।
Because कोई भी उल्टा सीधा कुछ भी बोल के जा रहा है YouTube में हिस्ट्री के बारे में।
और हिस्ट्री के एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड जे भाई दीपक ने सिर्फ एक ही झूठा नैरेटिव नहीं फैलाया, बल्कि सुनिए उनका एक और उटपटांग और एकदम फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट क्लेम।
If you look at CBSE textbooks start only from 1 CE or 1 AD, as if India did not have an existence before that.
ये झूठ है।
अगर ये सच
देखो, पहली बात तो मैं सीबीएसई से नहीं हूं तो मुझे एग्जैक्टली पता नहीं है, बट अगेन एक स्टैटिस्टिकल फैलेसी, कुछ तरह का फैलेसी करने का बहुत कोशिश किया इन्होंने, मगर हो नहीं पाएगा। हमको तो इंग्लिश भी आता है, सीताराम गोयल भी पढ़ लिए हैं, थॉमस सोएल भी पढ़ लिए हैं, अब क्या कैसे करोगे इस बुलेट प्रूफ दिल में तुम कैसे घुसाओगे ये मार्क्सिज्म का चुतियापा? तो प्रॉब्लम है कि J.S. Deepak's argument that he tried to point out was that Indian education system says that there was basically no India before 1C or 100C, whatever any year he used. That is not the point here, because he counters it by saying that no, ancient India is absolutely taught. It's wo Harappa and all. But you see, it's that connection is never drawn in our history classrooms, at least not in IC boards, that the descendants of these Harappans are basically us, or even the cultural descendants of the Harappan civilization is Hinduism. Okay, I'll try to be fair to academics and even commie academics, and I'll say yes, go ahead and call it proto-Hinduism. Even that is not done. It's taught to us as if Harappa is a long disappeared mystery. We don't know where these people went. It's like the pyramid stories, at least up until a few years back, up until like 5-10 years back, how Egypt used to be discussed in mainstream TV documentaries and stuff. Okay, we don't know where these people went. They got all converted and they still live in Egypt only. So if that connection is not drawn and said that yes, that was just one location of India, and then that country India continues, that then we would not have any problem with what being human is trying to argue. But J.S. Deepak is pointing out that Indian history starts at a much later date, whereas Harappa is something of a parallel abstract concept that has no connection with India or Hinduism.
सच होता तो कैसे मेरी ही रिसर्च में इतने सारे लोग हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन को मेंशन कर पाते, और ना ही वो मौर्यन एम्पायर को मेंशन कर पाते, ना बुद्धिज्म को, और ना ही वैदिक एज को मेंशन कर पाते।
Yeah, mentions are a nice strawman that commies have started giving these days. Yeah, what can you tell me about Mauryan Empire? Can you tell me anything? Okay, I'm asking being human. Anything you know about the Mauryan Empire today, or if anything you remember about the Mauryan Empire today, is because of all the history reels that right-wingers make these days. Okay, off the top of my head, I can tell you probably 5 things about Mauryan Empire, which you could not. Now, bad memory that you have is not to be blamed on the Indian education system. My point is, and our point is that if you were asked 5 points about the Mughal Empire, you would be able to answer it. And off the top of your head, just hold any normie liberal even today, okay, who does not really follow any politics algorithm in their Instagram and stuff, just hold them anywhere. Ask them, name 5 Hindu kings right now. Unless they are in the right-wing algorithm space, okay, on the internet, or they actually follow politics and stuff, they won't be able to. I have tried these things on my commie Bengali friends, okay. 5 Hindu friends is almost 5 Hindu kings is almost an impossible question for most people to answer if they are normies, okay? But 5 non-Hindu kings from the world or even in India is not a problem for anybody. That's what Deepak is trying to point out here. That if at all you mentioned the Vedic age or you mentioned Mauryan Empire, you don't know or remember or you didn't imbibe anything from those eras.
तो सवाल फिर से यही पैदा होता है कि जे भाई दीपक ऐसा सफेद झूठ क्यों बोल रहे हैं?
That question is never asked. So it's empty opinions being aired in the form of angst without data or evidence.
Because angst within media spreads faster.
और जे भाई दीपक का पूरा गेम ही अननेसेसरी एंग्स्ट और गुस्सा फैला के देश की मेजॉरिटी को भड़काना है और किसी भी साइंटिफिक या लॉजिकल रिफॉर्म को सजेस्ट करने की जगह डिक्टेटोरियल एक्शंस को
अच्छा, ये है फिर से वर्चुअल सिग्नलिंग. क्या भाई साइंटिफिक लॉजिकल रिफॉर्म के खिलाफ कौन है? आई मीन any bureaucrat, prime minister, education minister, a random rickshaw puller, you ask anybody that should our education system get better and should it have scientific and logical progress, everyone would say yes. Who's stopping you? Except our budget maybe and a significant vision. No one's really against these things, so you can't get off try to come across as a saint for demanding those things, okay?
encourage करना है.
वो खुलकर कहते हैं कि राम मंदिर ही नहीं, उन हजारों मंदिरों को भी वापस पाने की लड़ाई लड़नी चाहिए जो उनसे छीन ली है.
काशी, मथुरा और 39,998 temples. We are looking at 40,000 sites.
अच्छा.
Yeah, just trolling. No counter argument for even this point or this demand. That why is this demand really wrong?
Because you're a lawyer and engineer, I'm assuming that everything you're saying is backed on like research, facts.
No.
Exactly.
हिस्ट्री सिलेबस और टीचिंग मेथड्स को इंप्रूव करने की जगह जे भाई दीपक कंप्लीट सैफ्रनाइजेशन ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री चाहते हैं, व्हिच इज बेसिकली द अनसाइंटिफिक एंड डिस्टॉर्टेड हिंदुत्व वर्जन ऑफ हिस्ट्री व्हिच ही वांट्स बुलडोज्ड इनटू द इंडियन.
Yeah, Shreyansh, it's actually true. I'm still confused about Bindusara and Bimbisara. कि कौन अशोका का बाप था एंड कौन नहीं था.
in education system one way or the other.
गवर्नमेंट को तो हिस्ट्री का सिलेबस चेंज करना ही पड़ेगा. Why are you imposing your version of history on me? I must have the right to choose.
हाँ, तो if now again Ping Human pretends to be a political normie who just plays a little PUBG, makes some videos in his free time, does not really follow politics, he's just a nice cute guy, then of course we can't criticize him for saying these things. But if he is not, he must be reminded that bro, a redification of the education system has happened in India, especially 70s onwards, especially since the great friendship that started between communists and Indira Gandhi. And ask anyone in West Bengal about what Anil Vishwas did to the education system in specifically West Bengal. At least, okay, maybe you and J. Deepak are not really talking about West Bengal, but largely this is what has happened in the entire world. Okay, there has been a redification, a commification, a Marxification of the entire academia of the entire world. Maybe not so much in STEM, but it's coming very soon to STEM. So STEM guys just must prepare for this onslaught. But let me prove it in some more ways, okay? Citations to zaruri hai. Let me give you examples that this is not a problem just in India. So if it's not a problem in STEM as of yet, where is it mainly a problem? In social sciences, right? So in social sciences, you can't write anything, let's say, unless you have a majorly Marxist bias. Yeah, your paper won't be accepted or let's say really taken seriously unless it has a Marxist bias. Now, I know what a lot of non-Marxist, well-meaning academics are going to come up with if in their efforts to counter me on this. They will say that no, Marxism doesn't really have anything to do with these things. We are not really taught Marx all the time. Like Slavoj Žižek, the guy who called Bhagavad Gita a dirty text, he in his debate with Jordan Peterson had come up with this insane argument that Jordan, where is this alliance between the postmodernists and Marxists that you talk of all day? Where is it happening? I can't see it in any university campus. But everyone knows, of course, that it is in fact true. Maybe not in the theoretical realm. Maybe those two things have not been reconciled as of yet. But those people are allied against some imaginary problems. That much is absolutely correct and factual. But even if an academic says that, let's say we are not writing these things just because we love Marx or something. There are other academics also, than Marx, whom we do follow. So those academics, more often than not, will be heavily inspired by Karl Marx. Now, any legit intellectual takes inspiration from multiple different kinds of ideologues, or let's say theoreticians as well. Okay, so hypothetically, let's say today you are following an economist. Maybe in his influences, it will be said that he is inspired both from Amartya Sen and Milton Friedman. Okay, and then the guy ends up writing only Marxist stuff. That's where the problem arises. So maybe we can't go around proving each and every academic to have a direct Marxist influence. But what they are writing in the end, what they are trying to preach, is Marxist in the end. That is where the problems lie. Other examples include, let's say, why did Jordan Peterson have a problem at the University of Toronto for the last not 10 years, right? About 8 years or something. He has been harassed countless times. He has had blowhorns blown into his ears in full view of the audience, right? You all have seen those videos. And finally, that guy ends up quitting his tenured position. A alleged professor of psychology, has taught at Harvard. His lectures in Harvard are on YouTube. Why did that guy have to quit University of Toronto tenured position? Because there is something Marxist shenanigans going on in the academia, right? If that is going on, then that is the proof of my claim of the entire redification of the entire world's social science academia. Okay, then let me give you another great example. This journal called Theory and Justice. Okay, this I had posted a quote of this journal's new editor. Okay, this is the journal where Salvatore Babones is now on the editorial board. Okay, let me tell you guys what this new guy, who has suddenly become the head of this journal, has said, and how he has criticized Sociology. Okay, Springer Nature is the company who owns that journal. Okay, listen to this insane quote. Yeah. So this guy obviously hates Theory and Society for kicking out all their, let's say, the activist kinds of people in their journal, and they have hired some other legit people who won't use Sociology as simply a propaganda tool. Okay, his name is Turner. I forgot his name. What Turner? Of course, it's in Jonathan Turner and Kevin McAfee. These are the two new editors, and our friend philosopher guide Salvatore Babones is on the editorial board of this paper. Okay, now STEM guys will appreciate what he has said about Sociology here. Okay, listen to this. This is Jonathan Turner's criticism of how he sees Sociology is being run and how he wants to rectify it. Okay, he's writing, once a professional organization dedicated to the study of all dimensions of the social universe, once such an organization begins to mix highly moralized ideologies with the study of inequality, then what happens is the possibilities of value neutral science decline and are replaced by ideological advocacy and political calls to redress the problems on injustice. Okay, so injustice se kya problem ho sakta hai kisi ko? Let's see. And once injustice, which is just one aspect of human social organization, it is not the only aspect of human social organization. So once injustice, which is just one aspect of human social organization, is overtaught in academic departments, from English through ethnic, gender, sexuality programs to sociology departmental curricula, sahan pe sab jagah pe ek hi problem hai, injustice solve karna hai. तो अब सॉल्व तो करना ही है, वो तो ठीक बात है, मगर उसके लिए स्पेसिफिक कुछ मैकेनिज्म्स है, इंस्टीट्यूशंस है सोसाइटी में, जिसको जो काम करने को बोला गया है उसको उसमें सीमित रखना है. ठीक है, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड जो होता है. बिजनेसेस आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व जेंडर इनजस्टिस, एकेडमिक्स आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व जेंडर इनजस्टिस, और सॉल्व हो भी नहीं रहा है. और द प्रॉब्लम इज what you think is injustice or how important do you think the particular injustice you are bringing up is, all those things get convoluted. They are all ambiguous. Okay, so at best what sociologists should be left to is just observe, analyze, and say, bring out random interesting factoids about the society, not try to solve injustice all the time, because if you really bring out value neutral studies, let's say, okay, you bring out a study saying that this podcaster called College Street Kolkata holds his cup too tightly, and therefore it's and that's a very interesting thing. You don't have to say that it's an injustice towards the cup. People can notice it if your research is that great, and then other people can take it up. But if you as an academic, in fact, take up the issue of me as a podcaster oppressing this cup by holding it too tight, few years later, when I'm banned from holding this cup too tight, people start holding this cup in a way that makes the cup fall from the hands, and there's coffee all over my keyboard. So you see, academics should not be activists. But anyway, let's continue with this insane, brilliant, beautiful criticism. So, and once injustice, which is just one aspect of human social organization, is overtaught in academic departments, from English through ethnic, gender, sexuality programs to sociology departmental curricula, the curricula all over campuses and the programs at most sociological meetings operate merely to magnify ideological hype at the expense of pushing science and value neutral research. Indeed, value neutral research and science are often seen by the new activists as quote unquote part of the problem. कि value neutral काहे है भोसड़ी के, तुम्हारा कोई opinion क्यों नहीं है? It's considered to be a part of the problem in overcoming injustices. Thus, sociology has mobilized those who have committed to giving up their professionalism. Okay, जिन लोगों ने अपना professionalism give up कर दिया है, उन लोगों को सोशियोलॉजी ने मोबिलाइज किया है, thereby demonizing those people who have created the large knowledge base that now exists in sociology. Okay, मैक्स वेबर के कंधे पे खड़ा होकर आज कोई भोसरी वाला के बोल रहा है कि casteism सिर्फ इंडिया में है और कहीं पे नहीं है. Okay, so now my question to being human is that, is this theory and society guy, this great sociologist, is he a Sanghi? Okay, there is one podcast, because these people don't come on podcasts too much, and who is even researching these things? So you will find one podcast where this guy turns up, Jonathan H. Turner, and he says, I am a 60s liberal. I have been to feminist marches, civil rights marches all my life. I'm not a right winger, but sociology is meant for doing very specific things and in very specific ways. Don't fuck that up. So this proves that there has been a redification in the entire world of social sciences and gradually of STEMs as well, and that needs to be corrected, and that's what Sai Deepak is talking about. That's what we are talking about. Now let's get back to the video.
Choose myself, and therefore I'm interested in creating a parallel universe where there are at least 2,000 to 3,000 schools.
Now imagine such schools teaching a version of Indian history where students, for example, are told that instead of academically accepted and scientifically proven Aryan migration theory,
guys, is he really a political normie who just plays PUBG and makes some videos in his free time? Even in 2024, this guy saying Aryan invasion theory is academically, scientifically accepted principle. Okay, oh my god, इसको काउंटर करना तो हम शुरू नहीं कर सकते, तो कोई इसको भाई वीडियो में टैग करो. इतने लोगों ने काउंटर किया है, नीरज राय का ही इतना रिसर्च है.
You should be looking at out of India theory,
which is a theory that has zero archaeological, linguistic, or DNA evidence to back it, and has been rejected unanimously over and over again as an extreme right-wing.
Because इसको एक्सट्रीम राइट विंग बोला गया है, बिकॉज वो रेडिफिकेशन हुआ है. वो लेफ्ट विंग वाले ने इसको राइट विंग बोला है. ओके, राइट विंग वालों को बोलने दो, फिर हम डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि वो क्रिटिसिज्म लेजिट है कि नहीं. सिर्फ अगर कॉमी बोलते हैं कि ये खराब है, तो वो हम सीरियसली नहीं ले सकते हैं. लाइक क्रिश्चियंस रियली हेट ड्रूइड्स. ओके, द प्रीस्ट क्लास ऑफ द Celtic people. Okay, everything known about druids is mostly from Julius Caesar's writings, who was trying to invent those guys. Okay, ऐसे रिसर्च नहीं होता है.
फैंटेसी थ्योरी. अब ऐसी बातें सुनने के बाद कुछ लॉजिकल, रैशनल और साइंटिफिक लोग जरूर जे भाई दीपक से ये कहेंगे कि आप अपनी लॉ प्रैक्टिस पे ही ध्यान दीजिए और प्लीज.
लेट्स सी व्हाट एफिन इज पॉइंटिंग आउट. इंटरेस्टिंग.
accepted and scientifically proven Aryan history where student theory
you should be looking at
are told that instead of academically accepted and scientifically proven Aryan migration theory,
you should be looking.
Nice. So great if in that he pointed out Aryan migration theory. If that is the case, then the politics based on Aryan migration theory cannot work. But I have to bring it to being human's attention, because he uses such political movements and claims them to be great anti-caste movements. Okay, the Dravidianist movement is based on the Aryan invasion theory, not on Aryan migration theory. But Being Human says that Dravidianist movement is a great anti-caste movement. So he is basing his arguments on something that he calls Aryan migration theory, but is using that theory as if it's an Aryan invasion theory. So it's the same anyway.
साइंटिफिक लोग जरूर जे भाई दीपक से ये कहेंगे कि आप अपनी लॉ प्रैक्टिस पे ही ध्यान दीजिए और प्लीज हिस्ट्री का काम एक्सपर्ट्स पर छोड़ दीजिए।
लोग ये भी कह सकते हैं क्या आपके मुताबिक सिर्फ आपने हिस्ट्री को ठीक से समझा? मैंने कहा हाँ, सॉरी, दैट्स माय आंसर। आई डोंट केयर व्हाट पीपल थिंक ऑफ दैट।
झूठ पे झूठ फैलाने के बाद जे भाई दीपक फुल एरोगेंस के साथ ये भी क्लेम कर देते हैं दैट ही नोज हिस्ट्री बेस्ट।
आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट दैट एवरीथिंग दैट आई एम सेइंग is supported by the words of Sri Aurobindo, Sri Ramakrishna Paramhams, Swami Vivekananda. अच्छा, अगर मैं गलत हूं तो उनके बारे में आपकी क्या धारणा है, आप सोच लीजिए।
तो जिन महापुरुषों का नाम लेके जे भाई दीपक अपने महा झूठे प्रोपेगेंडा को एक्सपोज होने से बचा रहे हैं, वो तीनों महापुरुष सोसाइटी में यूनिटी पर एम्फेसिस देते थे और डाइवर्सिटी।
यूनिटी, you all I'm sure know the things Sri Aurobindo said in 1909, right? And Buddhadev Bhattacharya is saying STEM will be difficult to mess. STEM people keep telling me this, and I keep seeing evidences to otherwise, and more evidences otherwise. Okay, pretty soon you are going to have to learn that vagina has nothing to do with a female. It's just some humans have a vagina, some humans have a penis. There's no gender issue here. But more so, you will be spending your time, maybe if the kind of trajectory that we are seeing now of academia, you all will be spending a lot of your time not really learning science. Maybe you all will be learning a lot about social injustices.
को सेलिब्रेट करने की बात करते थे, क्योंकि सच्चाई ये है कि इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट की हिस्ट्री में इनॉर्मस डाइवर्सिटी रही है। फॉर एग्जांपल, यहाँ पर पर्शियन, ग्रीक, चाइनीज ओरिजिन के एम्पायर्स रहे हैं, जो सब यहाँ अपने अलग अलग कल्चर और रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिसेस लाए।
एंड दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट आई आल्सो फाउंड इन माय रिसर्च।
Biryani, architecture, gardening was brought. We all lived happily. फिर पार्टीशन काहे हुआ? पार्टीशन किसके वजह से हुआ? लिविंग हैप्पीली के लिए पार्टीशन कैसे हो सकता है? उसके पहले जो लोग आए थे उनके साथ कोई बवाल क्यों नहीं हुआ? तब उनके डिसेंडेंट्स के साथ आज तक बवाल क्यों नहीं होता है? काहे भोसड़ी के काहे? पार्टीशन काहे लिविंग हैप्पीली एवर आफ्टर में? And again, I have to remind people that who's the director of Lagan and Jodha Akbar? What a great filmmaker, Ashutosh Gawadikar. Yeah, he does not understand what the fuck settler colonialism means. There's a hilarious sentence in Jodha Akbar where Hrithik Roshan as Akbar says, हम तो बाकी लुटेरों के तरह नहीं है, हम तो यहाँ पे आए लूटपाट करके चले गए, ऐसा नहीं है। हम तो यहाँ पे आए और हमको मोहब्बत हो गया इस जमीन से और हम रह गए. We love this country. That is the definition of settler colonialism. And Ashutosh Gawadikar would probably make a movie on George Washington someday and say those exact things while standing in front of a Native American and see, we are not like the British who went to India and left and colonized the place and ran away with the resources. We loved Native Americans and USA and this land called America. It was not called America. So much that we stayed here. So you see, our ancestors were great.
Because the most commonly and consistently appearing response mentioned celebrating India's rich and diverse cultural heritage and the idea of unity in diversity. On average, every fifth answer mentioned bhaichara and the idea of peaceful coexistence.
They meant that that's what is taught. They didn't mean that that is the truth about India. But again, where is the bhaichara in partition? Where is the bhaichara in the mass gang rapes in partition? Where is the bhaichara in the mass genocides and massacres and displacements of Hindus? During partition, before partition, after partition, Aurangzeb, 7.2 million, etc.
Among the diverse cultures, traditions, languages, regions and religions.
This is the general youth picture.
And it makes perfect sense because our freedom fighters and constitution makers intentionally decided not to go the Pakistan way and create a religious nation.
Arey bhai, see, I don't think anyone can be this uneducated about Indian history and in history of Indian freedom struggle even in 2024, unless he is from, basically he hasn't updated any of his knowledge from the times we were growing up basically. So this guy is blatantly putting out Sardar Patel's face while discussing unity, even though he is the man who right after independence, or even right when partition was announced, he said that ऐसा क्या हो गया कि अचानक सब लोग मतलब कांग्रेसी बन गए. Okay, these people were in All India Muslim League, they were voters of Muslim League. How did you all become Congressy all of a sudden? Okay, so that's not a man who's talking about Indian unity in the way that Being Human thinks Sardar Patel is saying. Okay, but other than that, I think there's a more probably a more sinister ploy at play here, which is that since we can see that he is dependent so heavily on background music and fantastic editing, therefore his target audience is again political normies for whom he's pretending to be a political normie. Okay, therefore he's bringing out Sardar Patel as a bogey to counter these evil Hindutwadi fascists. Okay,
this is the history.
Instead, they decided to create a secular democracy, an idea that obviously doesn't sit well with J Bhai Deepak, who wants India to become a Hindu Rashtra.
क्योंकि अगर आपने मान लिया कि आप सेक्युलर कंट्री हैं, इसका मतलब यह है कि आपकी कोई अपनी पहचान नहीं है, कोई रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी है ही नहीं. दैट विल बी द डेफिनेशन, दैट विल बी द मीनिंग ऑफ इट.
हाँ मेरे भाई दीपक, सेक्युलर कंट्री की यही पहचान है कि उसकी किसी एक रिलीजन से पहचान नहीं होती है, क्योंकि creating nations based on only one religious identity was actually a Western concept and not a.
But you see, भाईचारा था तो पाकिस्तान बना कैसे? ईस्ट पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, अब क्या नया इसका नाम कोई दिया है क्या? बांग्लादेश का नाम तो अभी भी बांग्लादेश ही है शायद. तो 3 बार इंडिपेंडेंस में तो 3 बार कुछ अलग नाम भी होना चाहिए. तो you see this point that ours is a secular state and we cannot fashion our politics in the way Pakistan is doing it. So Sardar Patel is being a little disrespectful, or at least he's talking about Pakistan in a bit demeaning way, right? And being human, since he's such a gigantic Sardar Patel fan, obviously agrees with him that Pakistan is a country that runs with a wrong ideology, or has a wrong vision of how to run a state. Since they are not secular, right? So those people who live in Pakistan or who created Pakistan, were they aliens like the people who lived in Harappa and during the pyramids of Egypt, right? We don't know where these people went. They gradually disappeared. वो लगान के लास्ट में जो डायलॉग था ना, इतिहास के पन्नों में कहीं खो गया, तो ये रिवर्स खो गया था. ये एलियन बन के आए थे एक दिन सुबह ये भाईचारा तोड़ के पाकिस्तान बनाने के लिए.
नहीं होती है, क्योंकि creating nations based on only one religious identity was actually a Western concept and not a भारतीय concept. तो जे भाई दीपक decolonization के नाम पे एक colonial idea of a nation ही वापस से हमारे देश पर थोपने की कोशिश कर रहा है.
कॉलोनियल आइडिया ऑफ अ नेशन नहीं है बीइंग ह्यूमन, नेशन है ही कॉलोनियल आइडिया भाई. ये नेशन स्टेट मॉडल ही है 1642 के वेस्टफैलियन ट्रीटी के बाद बनाया गया हुआ एक आइडिया. And I'm so glad I'm reading this Federalist papers written by John Jay, Alexander Hamilton and कौन है हमारे वो मैडिसन स्क्वायर गार्डन जिसके नाम पे है, आई थिंक उसके नाम से ही है, आई थिंक जेम्स मैडिसन और जॉन मैडिसन. या तो they are repeatedly going on arguing. This is written in some time around 1788. Okay, this is basically a series of articles, essays and papers, all 3-4 pages long, in newspapers in those days that they wrote, defending the idea of United States of America as one country, as one union, because the anti-federalists, the Patrick Henry people, they were trying to say that no, this one country concept is not really great for us because there are so many different kinds of interests, and some interests which are not Angus Madison, James Madison or John Madison. So Angus Madison is a recent historian, no? So we can't have one United States of America because there are different interests among all these parts of the country, right? And some people were arguing that all these 13 states back then should be different countries of their own, or there should be confederacies, that there will be one country called North USA, one country will be called East USA, like that. Okay, and these people are going on arguing that नहीं भोसड़ी क्या ऐसा नहीं करना है, गाड़ मार दिया जाएगा तुम्हारा, एक देश बनो. I'm really liking the arguments here, and I'm reading these arguments because they are articulated in such beautiful ways, because I think Rahul Gandhi needs to read this book as well. But my point is that this is why I do think nation state is in the end, I think is a better idea than the more ambiguous kingdoms that we had in the past era. It's, I don't think, at all applicable for today's context, because the world has been pretty much either physically, mentally, or in some way or the other really colonized by the West, which is to say that most things that we discuss, okay, most things are discussed with a Western lexicon, Western way of looking at things, Western lens, etc. तो ये nation state है ही एक colonized और colonial concept. तो उसको बचाने के लिए जो जो किया जाएगा वो सब थोड़ा बहुत colonial construct से, colonial concept से ही लिया जाएगा. यही argument वो जो famous film producer है ना, वो बंगाली आई थिंक, या जिसका भाई वो सावरकर को लेकर वो पेपर लिखा था. I keep forgetting these people's names. Okay, anyway, M. Shastri can maybe remind me. We had discussed his paper as well. which is the guy on the face of the DP of the Twitter handle called Eminent Intellectuals. Okay, that guy. His brother is a legendary film producer in India. So he was also criticizing Savarkar to say that, you see, Savarkar's way of nationalism is a Western construct. It's so colonial in his thinking. Then that guy who we discussed a few days back, with whom Ravish Kumar was discussing. रविश कुमार उसके घर में उसका लाइब्रेरी देखने गया था, तो वहां पे रविश कुमार उस आदमी से पूछता है, उस प्रोफेसर से पूछता है कि आर राइट विंगर्स राइट इन सेइंग दैट India was a great country in the past? Are Hindutwadis right? He says Hindutva is such a colonialized or colonized kind of a way to look at things. तो भाई, क्रिकेट का रूल्स तुमने बना दिया है, हम क्रिकेट फील्ड में बैठे हैं, अब हम फुटबॉल नहीं खेल सकते हैं, हमको क्रिकेट के रूल्स में जीतना पड़ेगा, जीत के शायद एक दिन वो फील्ड हम खरीद लेंगे, उसके बाद हम उस फील्ड में डिसाइड करते हैं कि नहीं चलो आज यहाँ पे बैठ के कैरम खेलते हैं, क्रिकेट नहीं खेलते. बट if we are playing cricket, we are in the game of cricket, we are going to win in cricket only.
This is the natural homeland of Hindus.
अब एक secular,
yeah, Ninad, Ashish Nandi, the scholar is Ashish Nandi and his brother is Pritish Nandi.
डेमोक्रेटिक रिपब्लिक को सिर्फ मेजॉरिटी रिलीजन का होमलैंड बता के जे भाई दीपक कंप्लीटली इग्नोर्स बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म एंड सिखिज्म व्हिच वर आल्सो
right. Really, Jay Sai Deepak really ignores all these religions. Oh my god. He thinks Jay Sai Deepak wants Sikhism, Buddhism to be called religions who were not born in India. Oh my god.
born in the very same land as Hinduism. साथ ही साथ he specifically alienates other Indians belonging to either Islam or Christianity by implying that this is not their natural homeland.
You're saying Muslims are...
He didn't say it's not the natural homeland of those people. He in fact makes the argument that it's their natural homeland because they are, let's face it, they are converts, most of them, 90% of them. He was saying it's not the natural birthplace, or it's not even factually the birthplace of those religions, not those people really.
Chill as long as they accept history in the same way that many Hindus accept history today.
Accept the fact that neither of these Abrahamic faiths are native to Bharat. Because at the end of the day, a lot
See, he said faiths, not the people who hold those faiths.
of them are converts. That is a reality.
Reality तो ये भी है that our constitution doesn't put any religion or people belonging to any religion above or below the others. And
तो भाई सोशलिस्ट काहे घुसाया था वहां पे?
the reality is that literally every religious person in the world is technically a convert because the concept of religion came thousands and thousands of years.
ये देखो, जे साई दीपक को कॉलोनियल बोलने वाला अब खुद अपने ट्रैप में गिर गया है. See, now he is bringing out the colonial definition, or let's say the Abrahamic way of thinking of religion to Hinduism as well. No, I don't think you can call any brown person whose ancestors are from the Indian subcontinent converts to Hinduism, because Hinduism was a way of life and, let's say, a snapshot in time of the way his daily habits were, or daily ways of worshipping were in this Indian subcontinent. Only white people who convert to Hinduism because of groups like ISKCON, maybe, they can be called converts, not us. And if you convert from one sampradaya to another sampradaya, you're not even technically changing your religion as we have in the definition today in Indian judiciary, right? Indian laws. So no brown person is a convert to Hinduism.
After our species emerged out of Africa, even the Vedic Hindu religion only came into India after the Harappan civilization ended. तो फिर क्या ये कहना सही होगा कि Harappans were the real natives and Hindus are converts?
No!
Of course not, because Indian history को जे साई दीपक की तरह किसी एक chosen time period से start करके किसी एक religion या culture के around restrict करके खत्म कर दें, तो it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, but that is what is done in our history books. Basically, we are not told that Harappans are our ancestors, or the Harappan culture is at least proto-Hinduism or proto-Vedic or something.
And therefore, there needs to be a very serious conversation on this. And it can't start with rhetoric. It needs to start with knowledge. It needs to start with facts. It needs to start with data. Emotion गया तेल लेने.
Ideally, knowledge, data और facts के सामने emotion को तेल लेने ही जाना चाहिए. पर जे भाई दीपक emotion को तेल में भिगो के नफरत की आग में फेंकते हैं ताकि knowledge, data और facts से किसी को फर्क ही नहीं पड़े. Which is why all his arguments are based on completely factless assumptions that only intend to sell lies, fear and hatred.
My audience is the Hindu. तो basically से थोड़ा तो जाग जाओ भाई. यहाँ से भाग के और कहाँ जाओगे?
It's only a matter of time, and it's only a matter of happenstance that we are still not IDPs, internally displaced persons. And according to me, वो कार्य भी प्रगति में है.
Are we living in the age of Khilafat 2.0 is the central question that I'm asking.
Okay, that's pretty frightening. Okay.
अब एक
Bella Daniel, guess who disagrees with you in everything you said in this one statement, okay? a certain historian at the UCLA, okay, professor of history, Dr. Janki Bakle, who dislikes Savarkar, who is a Gandhian. Her hero Gandhi was allegedly killed by a person who loved Savarkar, and she would 100% disagree with this statement, okay? Read some books.
हेटफुल कम्युनल पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए जरूरी है कि पहले डर और इनसिक्योरिटी का माहौल बनाया जाए।
तो क्या हिंदू खतरे में है इस देश में?
Has always been the case.
So Hinduism is the object of protection. Hindutva is both the sword as well as the shield to protect that particular Hindu nature. It is the Kshatriya aspect of Hinduism.
Oh, that's profound. Okay.
हिंदू खतरे में हमने बात कर ली
जी।
मुसलमान खतरे में है क्या?
पाकिस्तान बनने से पहले यही बोला गया था, पाकिस्तान बन भी गया, उसके बाद भी खतरा है। तो ये खतरा कब खत्म होगा? तो ये आपके मन के अंदर का एक वहम है।
मैंने कहा हिपोक्रेसी की भी सीमा होती है।
J. Bhai Deepak says that 110 crore Hindus are in danger in India after 10 years of the Modi.
ये 110 करोड़ है कि नहीं, वो आर्ग्यूमेंट तो हमने शुरू में ही एड्रेस कर लिया है, तो वो हम अभी इग्नोर करेंगे।
J. Bhai Deepak says that 110 crore Hindus are in danger in India after 10 years of the Modi government, jahan members of the government openly abuse Muslims in parliament, call for their complete boycott in public speeches, and also make open calls for violence against them, all in the name of creating a Hindu Rashtra.
Now, do these statements, of course, some of them are statements which we can't really agree with, but my point is, do these statements in fact prove that non-Hindus are at threat in India? Do statements threaten people or policies threaten people? If in fact statements are the only threats, then of course it can't be called a threat because it's just 3 or 4 guys, okay, 1 woman, and about whom most Indians don't know of, okay, if they don't follow politics all year round, okay. If policy is in question, then of course Hindus in Hindu Rashtra by Dr. Anand Ranganathan, he will prove to you in fact how exactly Hindus are a threat.
One can use their own common sense and figure कि actually खतरे में है कौन.
It's not something that requires a 120 plus IQ.
Depends on what is khatra.
Or 160 plus IQ. It's plain and simple logic based on the ground realities.
Ground realities से याद आया that J. Bhai Deepak is also a huge proponent of fighting in the streets. Basically, ये एक Supreme Court lawyer है who believes more in the idea of street warfare than the idea of strengthening law and order systems which ensure peace and safety of all Indians in the long run.
So, do not use the Gita to teach pacifism to your kids. Teach the Gita to teach Kshatra to your kids.
जब आपके घर को कोई आग लगाने आ रहा है, तो क्या आप उसके सामने संविधान का एक पर्चा आप उसके सामने वेव करेंगे? I am only going to say protect your family, protect your people, because you can't trust the state to arrive at the right time when you need help.
क्योंकि पुलिस बॉलीवुड की तरह लेट आएगी और अगर आएगी भी तो पहले हिंदू को मारेगी।
पुलिस पर इनएफिशिएंसी का ब्लेम डाल के जे भाई दीपक पुलिस के रिफॉर्म्स की बात नहीं करते, बल्कि जैसे उन्होंने हिस्ट्री एजुकेशन को एंटी हिंदू बताया था, वैसे ही पूरे इंडिया
Why didn't you call for reforms on your Twitter bio? You should have just done that and gone home and had a nice sleep. Why are you calling and let's say suggesting specific things which can maybe make some situations better? Now, you know me, I'm not really in favor of street power and stuff, because I only recommend, propose and suggest doing those things which I myself would be ready to do. And since I know too many people who say awaken your Kshatriya spirit but can't do 5 push-ups, or say that street power is really important but they send their kids to study in elite institutions in Pune. So what they end up basically saying is that yes, I want Kshatriya spirit to get really awakened, but I hope some poor guy gets beaten up for me or spends nights in the locker, in the lockup and stuff. But my point is, where do these things show up in policy? No sign of these things in policy.
पुलिस फोर्स को वो एंटी हिंदू बता के,
these are just random rants maybe of some politicians being human can hate. There's nothing more and nothing less than that.
तो पहले हिंदू को मारेगी.
पुलिस पर इनएफिशिएंसी का ब्लेम डाल के जे भाई दीपक पुलिस के रिफॉर्म्स की बात नहीं करते, बल्कि जैसे उन्होंने हिस्ट्री एजुकेशन को एंटी हिंदू बताया था, वैसे ही पूरे इंडिया की पुलिस फोर्स को वो एंटी.
And let's discuss police reforms. What is the way to do police reforms? Just reform it, right? Set some laws into motion, do some stuff, write some documents and say that, hey, police guys, get reformed now. That's basically what Narendra Modi has to do. Why is he not being able to do those things? Who's stopping him? Who's forcing his hands to keep Indian police in the weak state that they are in? Okay, even the numbers of police is hilariously low. Okay, so if those things, everyone agrees that those must be reformed and it's not being reformed, why shouldn't we focus on many other problems as well, and instead of just virtue signaling? Okay, and bureaucrats are stopping many things. Okay,
हिंदू बता के सिर्फ एक काम कर रहे हैं, which is to build support and acceptance for extremist militant groups of the संघ परिवार like the बजरंग दल.
मैंने बहुत सारे ऐसे कॉन्वर्सेशंस में देखा है कि हिंदू सबसे पहले होते हैं कि बजरंग दल थोड़ा ज्यादा एक्सट्रीम है, इन्हीं की वजह से बहुत सारे तनाव जो है पैदा हो जाते हैं. As if it is otherwise a heaven of brotherhood and peace and harmony. It's paradise of idiots. Stop disrespecting your organizations which protect you in the street. Street is where the battle is being fought right now. So focus on that.
और self defense के नाम पे he provides full support to extremist BJP leaders like Pragya Thakur and T Raja Singh.
So then what Pragya Thakur said, keep knives. The thing is, I wish Sadhvi Pragya knew how to speak in English and in Queen's English.
yeah, this is one argument I think where Desai Deepak, I mean, look at his lifestyle. He's fighting cases, preparing for cases, writing books, going around speaking in 1,000 conferences, and then this podcast. I think this is one statement which I think is absolutely baseless. Sadhvi Pragya would be hated in the exact same way, even if she said those same things in English. Okay, unless she completely spun it in a way to say that, yes, I'm just talking about self-defense randomly. I'm not a Hindutva activist of some sort. But if someone who is remotely related to Hindutva politics, and they talk about self-defense, it's always going to be misconstrued as a call for violence against non-Hindus. So no, Desai Deepak is wrong here at least.
Because then perhaps her point would have found better purchase.
अपने घर में हथियार रखो, कुछ नहीं तो सब्जी काटने वाला चाकू जरा तेज रखो. जब हमारा सब्जी अच्छे से कटेगी तो निश्चित रूप से दुश्मनों के मुंह भी और सिर भी अच्छे से कटेंगे.
Because she wore saffron, had a tika and has Sadhvi in her name and said it in Hindi, she's obviously vilified and castigated.
मेरा प्रश्न आपके होम टाउन भाग्यनगर से ही रिलेटेड एक मुद्दे पे है, श्री राजा सिंह जी के संदर्भ में.
Those foot soldiers who are happy to stand on the ground should be respected to the core because we fail to value their importance so much.
अखंड हिंदू राष्ट्र की स्थापना के लिए हर हिंदू अपने घर में हथियार रखना सीखे मेरे भाई.
What's T Raja's caste? Is he an evil वो आर्यन migrator bird है क्या वो? या फिर आर्यन नहीं है फिर भी अखंड हिंदू भारत की बात कर रहा है? इसको कोई द्रविडियनिज्म समझाओ जाके.
मैं हमारे विश्व हिंदू परिषद के अधिकारी गणों से यह निवेदन करना चाहता हूं कि हर वो नौजवान.
Yeah, Anand Sridhar, then it falls under the broad definition of dog whistles.
को AK-47 की शिक्षा भी देने की आवश्यकता है.
Not only has the guts but also has the magnetic pull to ensure that he has massive mass support.
ये मेरा बेटा है, बड़ा बेटा.
Such people, if they were from the other side, would have been worshipped.
तुम्हें शर्म है कुछ?
Yeah. Whenever he ends up showing an argument of Desai Deepak which can't be factually countered, he just puts another meme after that and expects you to laugh, and so that you forget the argument that Desai Deepak made and you think, yeah, I was laughing anyway and this is just another hilarious argument. Notice that he doesn't really say that, no, even if an equivalent of A Raja or T Raja was on the other side, he would not be worshipped. He doesn't even make that claim, which is how you know that he's not arguing in good faith anyway. He just wants some money out of YouTube.
कुछ शर्म आया है?
नहीं.
और हिंदू राष्ट्र के नाम पे ना सिर्फ हिंदुओं को मुस्लिम, क्रिश्चियन और सिख माइनॉरिटीज के साथ लड़वाया.
The point that Desai Deepak made, it's repeatedly happening. Some points he's just ignoring and just trolling and moving on, where he can't counter at all, even with his statistical fallacies.
जा रहा है. बल्कि जे भाई दीपक के हिसाब से उनके इस मिशन का सबसे बड़ा हर्डल वो हिंदू होंगे जो एंशिएंट कास्ट सिस्टम के रिवाइवल के डर से हिंदू राष्ट्र को स्ट्रांगली अपोज करेंगे.
When we keep saying Hindu Rashtra, Hindu Rashtra, Hindu Rashtra, the first audience that needs to be catered to is at least 50% of the Hindu population. And when I say at least 50% of the Hindu population, it's a very optimistic figure. Imagine the kind of work that is being cut out for us.
Which is why J Bhai Deepak is also the quickest to label the movements and groups that have come out of caste reform movements as Hinduism's biggest enemies.
Ambedkarism पे बात जरूरी है. And those who claim to be Ambedkarites are extremely deadly.
सबसे पॉइजनस जहरीला अगर कोई मूवमेंट है जो भारत को पूरी तरह से तोड़ने के लिए सक्षम भी है और उसके लिए तैयार भी हो रहा है, वो है द्रविडियनिस्ट मूवमेंट.
द्रविडियन मूवमेंट के खिलाफ जो बातें बोले हैं जे भाई दीपक ने, उससे बीइंग ह्यूमन को क्यों प्रॉब्लम है? उसको तो लगता है कि आर्यन इन्वेजन नहीं हुआ था, आर्यन माइग्रेशन थ्योरी हुआ था, कैजुअली, एज इफ हमारे बुक्स में आर्यन इन्वेजन नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है. हम तो माइग्रेशन ही पढ़ते थे, है ना? तो अगर माइग्रेशन हुआ है तो व्हाट्स द पॉइंट ऑफ अ द्रविडियन मूवमेंट एनीवे? जस्ट कास्ट.
Biggest threat to Hinduism, especially in Uttar Pradesh, is going to come from Chandrasekhar Azad. You take it from me.
No!
You take it from me.
No! In the age of liberal democracy.
And just to argue the point, what is in fact the problem with people like Chandrasekhar Azad or Ambedkarites? Not that Narendra Modi really disagrees with those with their arguments, maybe at least on the policy level. And remember the SC/ST verdict. Narendra Modi has said, right, that he's not going to apply it. वो वर्डिक्ट के जगह पे है, एप्लीकेशन पे जगह पे है, वो क्रीमी लेयर ही रहेगा. तो the problem with those people is that they are rabid, hateful people who all the day indirectly call for violence against a community which is mostly 4.5% in India, and if at all they bring Baniyas and Kshatriyas into question, even then it's not really the majority 110 crores, but which is in fact the community that they claim to defend is in fact probably the largest single voter base of the current dispensation. So who knows what being human is trying to protect here. But anyway, such kind of hatred based on alleged historical injustices is not acceptable in a modern, free, rational, liberal society.
Democracies and scientific progress. To propagate the idea of a religious nation, one has to cover up the ills of the religion to make it worth accepting, which is probably why J. Bhai Deepak has infamously called caste a Western construct.
Okay, I have not read that article, but as far as I know, if anyone has read it, J. Sai Deepak had said that the line that he wrote in the article was that caste is a Western construct, but so what? And Indian Express, I guess, used just the, I think it came out on Indian Express only, right? They just used that line just to make it a cool headline that caste is a Western construct. Ere dekho, aise kaise bol diya isne? I think there was some shenanigans, right? He doesn't actually say that.
Madras presidency is where caste was created. Acha. You wanted a caste census, you did not ask for a Varna census. You didn't ask for a Jati census. There's a huge distinction.
अच्छा. और अगर गलती से भी आप इस कंफ्यूजन में पड़ गए हैं और ये समझ रहे हैं कि जे भाई दीपक इज ओनली अगेंस्ट कास्ट बट प्रो जाति सेंसस, तो उन्हीं का जवाब सुन लीजिए.
जातिगत जनगणना को लेकर बहुत बातचीत चल रही है. हाउ डू यू लुक एट इट? एक्सट्रीमली मिस्चिवस, एंड ये हिंदू समुदाय के फैब्रिक को तोड़ने का एक स्टेटमेंट है मेरे हिसाब से. कुछ भी.
इट ऑनेस्टली फील
people who are diehard supporters of BJP are of course arguing that the caste census is in fact going to help the BJP, but we are not really concerned with whether it's good or bad for BJP. But I'm not entirely sure if at all it is a good or bad thing for Hindu unity or Hindu society in general as well. I'm not, neither against nor in favor of what J. Deepak is saying here. I'm not really clear on this. Because of course it can be used in evil ways, but it can be not used in evil ways as well. I think more data is always great.
Like I can endlessly present such examples of J. Sai Deepak's dangerous conspiracy theories and foolish hypocrisies. But I also think that if you've reached this part of the video,
I would say that the audience has had enough of this nonsense.
बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली आज की गोदी मीडिया ऐसी नॉनसेंस बकवास करने वाले जोकर को नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस के एक फिगर की तरह प्रेजेंट.
अरे भाई, तो गोदी मीडिया, अगर देखो, पहली बात तो भाई साहब तो कॉमी है, इनको शायद इकोनॉमिक्स तो पता नहीं है. अब दिखा देंगे जामिया मिलिया से इकोनॉमिक्स में पीएचडी किए है, वो राजा मनु के फैन भी है, ऐसा भी कुछ बोल देंगे शायद. मगर द प्रॉब्लम इज गोदी मीडिया इज नॉट ब्रिंगिंग दीज पीपल ऑन टू देयर शोज जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर लेट्स से they maybe agree with his views or something. There is capitalism behind this. J. Sai Deepak has a huge pull. Okay, any video with J. Sai Deepak's name will have 3,000 views in 1 or 2 hours, even if it is just a live reaction video as well. Okay, guys, prove me right. So for that reason, J. Sai Deepak is repeatedly getting called to these shows, not just because of his views. And let's say Chandrasekhar Azad and some people who have also come on these Godi medias. Why have they come on if they are such great fighters for commies or let's say Dalits even? So why are they on Godi media first and foremost? But secondly, their pull is not that high in the online space. And last of all, it's not like the non-Godi media does not talk to any social media influencer. Don't they? Who is US Embassy inviting? Who is he? Isn't he a podcaster? Is not even podcaster, I guess, a YouTuber. And who are the people who get called to debate for the other side, for the non-Hindutva side? Who are those people? Why are they getting invited? Does he even know there's something called News Laundry and Wire?
करती है.
I'm sorry, I would genuinely call him a stupid fellow.
In fact, they let him spew his toxic, divisive, dangerous falsehoods without any counter question or any fact check of any sort.
No one has been able to counter me on facts.
बल्कि वो जे भाई दीपक का नफरती प्रोपेगेंडा सुन के अक्सर ये कहते पाए जाते हैं कि
हम बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और शानदार बात कह रहे हैं, और मैं तो कहूंगा कि जो लोग ये पॉडकास्ट देख रहे हैं, कम से कम 4 हिंदुओं को और ये पॉडकास्ट दिखाइए, कम से कम उनके दिमाग के दरवाजे खुलेंगे.
और इसीलिए जेसाई दीपक अपना डर, नफरत और वायलेंस का नैरेटिव मेन स्ट्रीम में पुश करने में सुपर सक्सेसफुल रहे हैं. एंड इसीलिए अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, पीपल लाइक हिम आर एक्चुअली द बिगेस्ट थ्रेट टू इंडियन यूनिटी.
अच्छा, तो भाई डर का माहौल मेन स्ट्रीम में फैलाने में अंबेडकर क्यों सक्सेसफुल नहीं हुए? उनका 1946 बुक पाकिस्तान और पार्टीशन ऑफ इंडिया, वेयर ही सेज थिंग्स व्हिच आर pretty further right of Jesai Deepak on some issues. Why did that book basically disappear from public memory? Most people even don't know. Most people in BJP and RSS didn't until I think 7-8 years back didn't know such a book has been written. How did that happen? Has even being human heard of that book? Does he know the things he has written in those books? Okay, and let's say Sitaram Goel, why didn't he become a mainstream personality? Because there's a lot of things Sitaram Goel says that Jesai Deepak would agree with, maybe 90-95% of things. Okay, so there's always capitalism, free market, profit motive behind these things.
Unity, diversity and democracy, even though he uses his words instead of a weapon.
बिकॉज कलाश्निकोव आपको दिख जाता है, कलम जो जहर फैलाता है वो सॉफ्ट होता है, साइलेंट होता है, सबटेरेनियन होता है, एंड आपको समझ में भी नहीं आता है कि आप जो कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं ये विष है या अमृत है. थोड़ा थोड़ा करके आपको चटाया जाता है, एक स्टेज के बाद समझ में आ जाता है कि आपके अंदर रक्त नहीं है, जहर बह रहा है.
इसलिए I'd just like to end this video with one suggestion.
Just focus on ensuring that you ask the tough questions from the people who are in power. Don't get blown away and don't get carried away by propaganda from either sides.
जय श्री राम.
जय श्री राम. नमस्ते.
इस वीडियो के सामने आने के बाद सवाल तो बनता ही है.
3 Indians that should leave India and never return are Jesai Deepak! Jesai Deepak! Jesai Deepak! Little why questioning is coming your way, so why?
Each of them has harmed Indian interest in their own ways, and Bharatiya interest, and has done grave injustice to facts, truth, history, and integrity.
जो भी विद्वान लोग हैं, जो कलम के धनी हैं, जो निष्पक्ष हैं, उनका ही दायित्व बनता है कि ऐसे समय देश को वो एजुकेट करें, सही चीजें बताएं.
Now we can tell the idiots here. अब तो समझ लो, अब तो जान लो.
So you guys, my question is, a guy with 1.21 million subscribers, imagine the kind of resources and team he has. Even he can't bring out any legit criticisms of Jesai Deepak. I think the most legit criticisms of remotely legit criticisms of Jesai Deepak we have seen so far is from that that Bengali academic in South Africa whom we had countered. No, he was forced, basically. He had to end up writing a counter, a criticism of and review of India, that is Bharat, Jesai Deepak's first book. I think that came close. What is his name? Vishwarup Sen or something. I think he was also from presidency. तो बाकी सबका ये क्या किया, तो ये क्या कंटेंट है भाई? This is just for 18-19 year old just high school pass out college kids who don't follow any politics. उनको तो ये चीजें वैसे भी लगता है, ये सिर्फ वो मतलब ठीक है, हाँ मुझे जो ठीक लगता है वही ये भी बोल रहा है जिसके पास 1.21 मिलियन सब्सक्राइबर्स है, तब तो मैं भी ठीक ही समझता हूँ. ऐसा कुछ चीज होगा यहाँ पे, और कुछ भी यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टिव डिस्कशन नहीं था. तो ऑल द आनंद सेनगुप्तो, yes, to all the people who recommended me this video, thank you, because I'm going to get a lot of views for this, but also fuck you because this was a waste of time in the moral sense. Okay, I think we all lost a few IQ points after watching this video. So thank you guys very much for joining the live stream. See you probably tomorrow, if not Monday onwards, so definitely. Thank you for joining, guys. Bye bye, good night.
श्रवरूढं महाभीमं गुणाद्रष्टाङ्गरप्रदं हस्य युक्तं त्रिनेत्रं च कपालकर्णिकाकरां मुक्तकेशिं ललज्जयं पिबन्तीं रुधिरं चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत्. समायुक्तं वराभाय करांस्वरे काली काली महाकाली कालिके पापहारिणी धर्मर्थ मोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते धर्मर्थ मोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते काली काली